We are now going to look at chapter 6, which deals with classical Western ethics. Our objectives at the end of this will be intended to identify alternative moral teaching of Greek classical philosophers based on human reason. One of the examples will be Plato. Then you should be able to review the incorporation of Greek philosophy with biblical revelation in the area of ethics. Should be able to explain why Protestant reformers rejected the Catholic synthesis. Then suggest ways in which a Christian can respond to Greek thinkers' goal of ethics based on human reason. Ancient Greek philosophers have had great impact on moral thinking. Even to the present time, we are having an influence of the moral thinking of the Greeks. Most dominant ideas today had their origin in ancient philosophy. Philosophy means the love of wisdom, and it comes from two words, philos, that is love, plus sophia, wisdom. This is intellectual love, to know. It means one uses human reason to know the truth. These philosophers argued that the basis of morality must be human reason. To live morally perfect, you reason. They rejected explanations from ancient Greek myths and stories of how gods determined behavior. They influenced church thinkers such as Augustine and Aquinas. But where did their ideas come from? Ancient Egyptian civilization influenced Greek philosophers a lot, and most of them studied in Egypt. In the book known as The Stolen Legacy, Professor James George argues that ancient Greek thinkers copied ideas from the ancient Egyptian civilization. Greek philosophers borrowed the idea of human soul, as we saw previously about human soul, personality, from Egyptians. Ancient Egyptians believed that the nature of soul determined the destiny of the person. Egyptians believed human soul was made up of 5 parts, namely 1, Ib, that is the heart. Metaphysical or supernatural heart was believed to be formed from 1 drop of blood from the child's mother's heart, taken at conception. It is the seat of emotion. That's why sometimes the emotions of some people would say, may resemble the emotions of their mothers. Then it deals with thought, will, and intention. And these gave evidence for or against its possessor. Number 2, shoot, that is a shadow. We all know shadows. It was believed that a person could not exist without a shadow, nor a shadow without a person. That one you can test it and see if any of the two can exist without the other. Therefore, Egyptians summarized that a shadow contained something of the person it represents, which inwardly might say that the shadow is life. For this reason, statues of people and deities were sometimes referred to as their shadows. The third one is Ren, name. As part of the soul, a person's reign or a person's name was given to them at birth, and the Egyptians believed that it would live for as long as the name was spoken, which explains why efforts were made to protect the name and the practice of placing it in numerous writings. In other words, a name determines the person, determines the character. The name given at birth would be contextual, and as long as the name of a person lives, then that person also lives. But when it dies, then he has completely phased out. The fourth one is called Ba. That means soul. The Ba is in some regards the closest to the contemporary Western religious notion of a soul. But it also was everything that makes an individual unique, why you are different from the other, similar to the notion of personality. The fifth one was Ka, the vital spark. You know what is spark? A spark like spark of electricity, spark of, The Ka was the Egyptian concept of vital essence, that which distinguishes the difference between a living and a dead person, with the death occurring when the Ka left the body. So if the Ka is in a body, it determines life, and when that Ka leaves the body is dead. This resembles the concept of spirit in other religions. So, drawing from the Egyptian experience, Plato and others believed that the person's soul determined his behavior, morality, or ethics. Soul is very important according to the Egyptian experience. Socrates, who lived between 470 and 399 BC, he was a moral philosopher. He subjected human nature and behavior to the test of human reason, moral reasoning. That's why sometimes we say that if you do things which are detested by other people around you, they ask, are you human? Because there is a specific way how human beings must reason. If you do something immoral, then they judge you. You are not human. You lack reasoning. So using moral reasoning, he argued that personal morality, that is ethics, is not separable from social justice. We socialize as human beings, and this socialization brings out our personalities, our morals. That's why in a society, as we are looking in first chapter, second chapter, you become one of the people of the society because you behave like them. And therefore it demands that you observe what we call social justice derived from the personal morality, and that determines what we call politics. Politics determine social justice. The goal of politics is the good of all, what we call common good. So when we see politics in place, they are intended to serve the needs of the people through what we call social justice, that every member of the community deserves that justice. Therefore, those in public office should live ethical lives, because you cannot observe or practice social justice if you in office for the public service is not ethically accepted. So morality flows from private to public. That's why when you see people contesting for public offices, they first seek the support of the people, and the people will look through, does this person fit? Does this person have personal morality which can be used in public office? So it flows from your private life to the public life. Your behavior in private has an impact on the public. Do you agree? So later on we shall come to look at this assignment where we say, discuss specific ways in which your private life affects public life, both positively and negatively, pointing out areas of your application. We shall come to that when we need it. Virtue. Socrates believed the best way for people to live was to focus on self-development rather than the pursuit of material wealth. You know, when you look at or you focus on material wealth, it is different from self-development, because wealth is very much physical, but self-development can be social, can be religious or spiritual, and it cuts and spills over the entire life of a person. Virtue was the most valuable of all possessions. Virtue, principle, the ability to do certain things, the regard for important matters, the ideal life that was spent in search for the good. And sometimes you ask, why do you search for good? Is that good for personal use or for public use? So in this case, it brings us to look at Plato, who lived between 427 to 346 BC. And he has drawn this kind of pyramid and divided it into 3 regions or 3 areas. Let us look at this. Plato is believed to have been a disciple of Socrates. He disagrees with the idea of sophists who argue that knowledge is relative. Knowledge changes, meaning that knowledge changes from person to person. For him, he does not agree with that one. If you know something and you go to another place, that something changes, or people think otherwise on the same thing. So he says, people who say it is relative, it will not work. If we make knowledge relative, then there will be clash, there will be misunderstandings on specific values of life. If knowledge is relative, then ethics also is relative, which we call ethical relativism. That's why today, as we shall see, when we talk about sexuality, our understanding of sexuality has become relative, because some people think human sexuality is not confined to human beings, and especially to specific relationship between male and female. They think it can spread between same sex or even animals and other things, as we know. But this is problematic, because all of us have a standard of right and wrong, as we had seen how we define ethics. So according to Plato, the human soul is divided into 3 parts. One is have reasons. Secondly, skills that we apply when we do certain things. Then he has what he calls appetite, and we shall see how each one of them serves as part of ethics. So when we understand the human soul, then we know how people behave. So Plato's parts of the human soul have been defined as we have seen in the pyramid. And here we see Plato defines reason and soul in the following manner.